It's time for Mr. Fundamental!
Presented by no one.
The Raptors-Celtics series was one of the best we've had this year. The young star duo of Tatum and Brown knocking out the reigning champions was similar to passing the torch. Then again, the Raptors lost a great wing scorer in the offseason, while the Celtics have at least two of those who are just going to get better. Despite of their personnel, Nick Nurse has maximized this team on both ends of the floor, but Brad Stevens is a great coach as well. I wasn't able to put out the second part of my Raptors breakdown, but here's a video on how the Raptors fell to the Celtics, so let's get into it. The Raptors' suffocating defense was still on full display during the series. Any type of penetration is met by a defender one pass away, cut off the lane, and force the Celtics to pick up the ball. When Tatum drives, VanVleet prepared to help, but since Theis is so close to the basket, he doesn't commit to the help. Siakam does a great job rotating down, since this would be a tough pass to his man. They collapse on the drive and force the miss. I've talked about this in the part 1 breakdown of the Raptors, which focuses on their defense, so go check that out. The Raptors' defense actually worked against their Celtic stars. All of them took a hit in their offensive efficiency. It is very logical to try and get the ball out of their best players' hands, but unfortunately, the Celtics' role players got hot and stayed hot throughout the series. Smart is known as a streaky shooter, and every shot he takes is one less for Tatum, Brown, and Kemba. If the Raptors close out well, Smart doesn't always make the best decisions offensively and throw up some wild shots. I mean, even Brad Stevens threw his hands up. The Raptors' defense is always about being in position to help, but the Celtics exploited this in a few different ways. The Celtics are going to run a high pick and roll going towards the left with two spot-up shooters. Right now, the Raptors are licking their lips. VanVleet is going to force Kemba towards the help, Gasol will contain, and Siakam will step in to prevent penetration. The Celtics added a wrinkle by getting the corner shooter to cut across. Since this happened behind Siakam, he didn't know that OG is not there to help him. He continues to help on the drive, while Smart went from the wing to the corner. This creates more distance between him and Siakam, and a clean look from deep in the corner. Another method is a seal-off. I made a video on this about Aaron Baines, and I'm sure Theis learned a few things when they're on the same team. When Theis rolls, it's never about scoring himself, but carving out space for his teammates. Since he sealed off the initial helper in Gasol, it forces Siakam to help out a second longer, leaving Brown wide open in the corner. On the reversal, Theis has great post position, but that's not his game, so he prepares to seal off Gasol to open up the lane, and VanVleet is way out of position to help close it up. The last counter is hanging in the air and freezing the defense. Here's the drive by Tatum, and Powell steps up early to force Tatum to pick up the ball. Now Tatum's only options are stepping through and challenge Ibaka at the rim without any momentum. Kick it to Theis with Ibaka in position to challenge, or make an awkward pass to Brown and giving time to Powell to recover. Tatum actually spins in the air, which gets Powell out of position, and get a good look for Brown in the corner. Again, the Raptors cut off Brown and force him to pick up the dribble. The jump freezes the defense, and when they collapse, the Celtics get another wide open look. Kemba has been doing this before even joining the Celtics, but mostly because of his height, and he needs to do this for a clean dish. So when Kemba beats Powell off the dribble, both Siakam and Ibaka are ready to help. The jump stuns both of them, with Siakam hesitating on whether he should contest a shot or not, while Ibaka isn't sure if he should help the helper. That's all the time Kemba needed to make the right decision, and hit Williams for the basket. Same thing here, taking away the pull-up 3 is another emphasis. That's why Ibaka is showing so high. The jump freezes the whole defense, and that split second is enough for Williams to dive to the rim for the slam. Doing this doesn't come without risks. The Raptors are actually baiting them to make the wrong decision, since passing in the air often leads to turnovers. The Raptors slowed down the Celtic stars, made their role players beat them, and forced turnovers from a team that typically take care of the ball. The Raptors defense did what they set out to do, and played the odds. It didn't turn out in their favor, but I'd say the defense was not the problem. The problem lies on the other end of the floor. A lot has been made about the transition game in this series, and there's no denying the Celtics won this battle. The Raptors love to push the pace and run. It is simple, yet effective, since players are attacking a defense that's not set. All those turnovers they force usually leads to easy baskets in transition, and gets the team going offensively. The Celtics are one of the best in transition defense, and it really showed during the series. Check out how in all these plays, the Raptors never have a numbers advantage in transition. They would always be the same or more Celtics than Raptors after every miss or turnover. All this only forces the Raptors to create looks in half-court, which is not their strong suit at all. The Raptors have maximized their half-court offense with great team basketball and a very modern shot chart, either shooting from deep or right at the rim. Here's a high ball screen, and VanVleet hits Gasol with a pocket pass. Since Brown rotates all the way into the paint, Gasol kicks it out, and the Raptors find the open man with a good look from deep. With most defenses focusing on packing the paint, the Raptors have leveraged that into catch-and-shoot opportunities. Both Lowry and VanVleet are average finishers, but teams aren't going to give them an open lane to the rim. They have to rotate over to help on the roller as well, so they get another great look from deep. Lowry and VanVleet knows all about this, so their initial drives are always about finding the open man instead of a shot for themselves. VanVleet averages around 14 drives per game, but only takes 4 shots and scores 4 points out of those drives. Compare that to his counterparts on this list, you see the Raptors focusing on VanVleet to generate looks from beyond the arc. The Raptors lost that against the Celtics' ice coverage. Both VanVleet and Lowry often got into the paint, but the Celtics' help defense didn't leave their man for long. They relied on Tice to contest their layups, which worked out really well. Games 3 and 4 was when they realized they needed to become scorers instead of facilitators, and punished the Celtics' bigs for sagging by draining jumpers off screens. This forced their bigs to show on screens, and the Raptors would get back to moving the ball and generating threes. Let's move on to Siakam first. Being guarded by Smart, Tatum, and Brown made it very hard to score, especially with Siakam's preference to face up instead of backing them down in the post. He's not going to blow by them off the dribble, so it was very puzzling why he kept doing that. It is possible that in Game 1, he racked up early fouls trying to be aggressive in the post, but he should have used his height advantage a lot more throughout these matchups. Combine that with historically bad shooting from deep, Siakam had a very rough series as the number 1 option. Since Siakam wasn't hurting the Celtics in the post, the doubles never came, which was another source of open looks for the Raptors throughout the season. In my other videos, I've mentioned how the Raptors' bigs' aggressiveness to shoot the ball would be a huge factor in the playoffs. The Celtics definitely got the memo on Gasol's passiveness, and also tested how comfortable Ibaka is with taking high volume threes. He constantly recovered late on the Raptors' pick and pop and dared them to shoot. Ibaka fared a lot better with his willingness to roll to the rim, but the Celtics countered by switching a bit more and baited the Raptors into posting up Ibaka. Lastly, the Raptors were their own worst enemy on defensive end. Of course there were those turnovers, which just cannot happen if they wanted to win games. Then the Celtics really got into their heads, like how Siakam shied away from backing down smaller players. The Raptors got so focused on attacking mismatches in the half court that they lost all their off-ball movement and team basketball that got them here in the first place. Instead, they replaced it with one-on-one ISO ball, and the loss of Kawhi becomes even more evident. They tried to attack Kemba, which made sense, but here's a tied game and a chance to go for the win. Since Kemba got switched into Powell, they decided to let him ISO, no action at all, and out of the hands of their best players. I know most NBA teams does this, but the Raptors just aren't a great isolation team. With the Celtics preventing easy transition buckets and spot-up opportunities, the Raptors were too happy when they actually got it, and here, Powell just barrels into Kemba. They got a great look at the rim, but OG couldn't finish it. On the kickout, Siakam pump faked a few times before deciding to shoot, and bricks it. They're attacking the mismatch again, and when the drive sucks in to help, OG gets a pretty decent look in the corner. The lack of open shots really got to OG, since the Raptors usually swing the ball for even better looks. With both Kemba and Brown closing out, Lowry could have gotten a good look after relocating, but OG chose to rush the 3 instead. Coming off the screen, Tice is showing up higher after VanVleet showed off his jumper in games 3 and 4. The combination of a pull-up 3 and OG's presence make VanVleet back out. This essentially helps the Celtics get back into position, and they turn it over. This last clip of Nick Nurse not letting the Celtics get into the Raptors' heads after Game 6 just further emphasizes that. The Raptors haven't been able to use their advantage they had all season long, and that's their bench. This is what the analysts are talking about when the NBA teams shorten rotations and the need for star power. Although the Raptors have been eliminated, this Raptors team is such a joy to watch. It reminds me of the 2013-14 Spurs when they won a championship with great team basketball. Most importantly, they're playing the right brand of basketball, or at least they are in my book. What the Raptors are lacking is a top-end superstar. Maybe Siakam could get there one day, but if any team could overcome star power with their team basketball, I'll bet my money on the Raptors. They might be heading for some huge roster changes this offseason, with VanVleet, Ibaka, and Gasol all becoming free agents. But no need to fear, Masai Ujiri is here. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to drop a like down below, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.